Hey everybody, this is me, the Undead Viking. I am doing my recaps for my play sessions in my Shattered Shores campaign. It is a completely home-brewed up adventure that I created myself. I stole, as all D&D creators I think do. They steal stuff from other D&D books, they steal stuff from movies, they steal stuff from graphic novels, Conan novels, all kinds of stuff. So, great artists steal, as they say. But regardless, I'm doing session reports for both groups. I'm this upcoming week, and like in 2 days, I'm playing both groups, both my son's group and my buddy's group. So this is the Grognards, the old men we play. So just a couple people did ask me, like, what's the difference between two? I play things way more fast and loose when I'm playing with the 13-year-old kids. I kind of don't get very granular with the descriptions or with what's going on. I tend to just kind of have them on a cart, if you will, and I just drag them along to where the fun stuff is. It's just the style of play. When I play with my friends that I've been playing with for decades, I tend to let them just run the show and I react to them, and it works. So with the Grognards, they had completed their mission, and they were told that they got, before the church was going to ask them to go off and do another mission, they had a couple of weeks. They could just do whatever they want. They got a bunch of reward money, which they were able to spend on whatever they wanted, and they did some training. Some people gained levels, so on and so forth. This is the session where each of them has 3 characters, and they get to pick which one they're going to play each time. So, like, depending upon what the mission calls for, they'll play a different character. In this case, one of the players, a monk, my friend Joel plays this monk. He heard a rumor that the Shattered Shores world is like filled with these islands, and there's these mysterious islands that will come up out of they're released from somewhere underneath the water, and they rise to the surface, and they're only on the surface for a fairly brief amount of time, and then they sink down below again. And while they're on the surface, because these are remnants of like an ancient civilization, and which had strange technology and things like that, this is definitely weird fantasy stuff. When these things are discovered, people flock to them and investigate them as quickly as they can to try to figure out what's going on. So they heard a rumor, this island. They decided they wanted to go to it. They had a couple of weeks. Captain Dax Walters, their reformed pirate captain, said that he could, once they got the coordinates, he said he could get them there in less than a day. He did. They got there and they saw that there was already like a shanty town that had been put together already, a bunch of tents and stuff like that. And there were several ships already in this bay, but they were like, let's go, let's see what's going on. So they went in, they caroused with some of the locals. A few people, upon seeing them, basically, like either said, hey, it's like, if you need a guide, I'm the person to call. There was like a place of worship that was set up that they went in, and they met this woman who had this horrible burn on her face, but she was healing people in there. And so they realized that like they'd be able to donate money to her to get healing from her. They kind of put that in the back of their head just in case something bad happens. And basically they were told that like in the center of this island, there's this red, misty, foggy area where all of these ancient barrows people are finding. And there's all kinds of like insane, like maddening type creatures and things in there. But people are finding like magic items and relics and treasures that are worth a lot of gold. And so this, of course, turns their alive, like the old cartoons, and the dollar signs appear in their eyes instead. Because we are going with a, treasure and magic items give experience points type of AD&D system. So they were very interested in doing that. But then they were told that because this dense fog, it was really easy to get lost in this kind of marsh wetlands area, and they needed a guide. And nobody really wanted to play one of their druids. There's one guy, Joel, who usually plays a druid. He was playing a monk last time for whatever reason. I think it was his druid was hurt. But uh, they they didn't he didn't want to he couldn't make it. That's right. He couldn't make the session. So his druid was out, and nobody really wanted to play their ranger or druid themselves. I think only one person's got like two people may have rangers, but no other druids in the party. And nobody wanted to play that. So they searched around. They found this woman who said that she would be a guide for them. I'm forgetting the name of the NPC offhand, but they hired her. They also got a couple of like red shirts. They hired back when they were in Solus. They hired a couple of they hired a man at arms, a guy named Tharder, who they're paying basically to be a meat shield. He's got, they bought him some armor, and he's got a nice axe and a shield. And he actually was one of the most effective. I was rolling his dice for him, and I mean, I must have. I think his median D20 roll for any of his attack rolls for the many combats they got into in this session is probably like a 16. Like, he could not miss. I mean, when he did miss, it was like everybody's like, "What happened?" You're like, "How Tharder? What's going on?" And then I forget the name of their torchbearer. They basically got this guy that was going to basically, he had a dagger, but but he basically offered, he's like, "I'll carry he's got a couple of giant sacks that he can carry the loot, and he's carrying a torch for them, so none of them have to carry a torch. So they basically have a torchbearer character, a porter, if you will. But anyway, so they went in, and this woman basically said, "Well, it's like when you find one of these barrows, you have to break into it, because you'll find like this small dome in the marsh, and if you can break in, you can find things." And so I won't. They found several of these. I'm not going to waste time going through each and every one. Some of them had some magic things that happened that gave them some special powers. They ran into some really, really powerful undead that they just ran from, which was very smart, because the undead probably would have killed them. They found some great treasure. One person actually found a magical pool of water that improved their strength by 1. Which they were very pleased when that happened. This is classic old D&D stuff. Like, remember when you like find things that would just radically change your attributes or different things about you? And I like that. I like this kind of weird pseudo-science fantasy type of thing. I'm enjoying it a great deal. It feels old school to me, and I'm trying to make it feel like that. And a few of the players have kind of, this is like, I feel like I'm playing AD&D again, which was my goal entirely with this. But I did say that when they went into the area, they noticed that there was like the very top of even though they couldn't see much because of all the fog and the mist, they could see somewhere in the center of this, there was a large structure, and they're trying to head towards that. And their guide said, "You don't want to go there. Nobody should go there. You don't want to go there," that kind of thing, and warning them off. But regardless, they eventually went and they entered a tomb, and inside they found a lot of treasure. They got real lucky. There was a pretty tough battle with an undead that basically had rot grubs like crawling all over its body. That if it was able to hit with both of its claw attacks, the rot grubs would enter the person's body and kill them. Which, in like old classic D&D, if that happened to you, you have to basically set the torch to the body part of where the rot grubs were in. And then the person would take the damage, but the heat would kill the rot grubs. And so that was a fun battle. Everybody was like, "Oh, don't touch them." But a few people had to have the torch put to them, and their torchbearer was like, "Oh, he's like," people are running over to him, holding out their arm, as you can see the worms crawling through their arm, and he's like attaching the torch to him, and yeah, we all had a good time, but we were like just laughing the entire time. But they ended up defeating, and They found like a magical amulet and also a lot of gold. And they were like, "Oh my gosh!" It's like, okay. And then they immediately like, let's just head back. They're like, let's just head back. And so the guide's like, that's a good idea because you don't want to be here when night falls. And so because like she's like the dead come out of the come out of the tombs, and you don't want to be here when that happens. And so they got out of the area they're in with the treasure, and their guides started heading them back. And they got a little bit ways, and then all of a sudden these other people came out of the mists, and they're like, "Hey, like what's going on?" And the guide said, "Here they are," and they're like, "What's going on?" And so basically, the guide was uh, in on it the entire time. Basically, she when she came out, she made a whistle, and they're like, "What are you whistling for?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, nothing, whatever." And then but these people came out, and they basically said, "Look, there's two ways. You can either give us the treasure you got, and we won't do anything, or we can kill you and take the treasure that you got." And so, of course, the party did not give up the treasure. They fought. The people were much more bigger blowhards than they were easy to fight. As far as their fighting ability, they were not very tough, and they killed a couple of them. And then the woman and what they thought was like her partner or whatever, they ran off into the mist, and they realize now the sun's going down, and from what they can see through this reddish mist that's all around them, they realize that it's going to be dark soon, but they don't know how to get back because that was their guide, and so we kind of left it at that. And so when we play the next session, we're going to be running this situation where it's like the party is going to have to try to figure out how to get back, and they're unlikely going to get lost. And I get to do all kinds of horrible things to them. So should be a good time. So there you go. That was the Grognards. Like I said, the highlights for me were like that fight with the undead creature that had the rot grubs. I mean, that was great. I don't want to overuse those, but I'm definitely going to have one of those. I got those out of I think it's like Barrow Maze had these things called Gax or Sons of Gax or something like it was. It was like Gax is like some evil god in that world, but it's just basically a zombie that has these maggots, these rot grubs for arms or whatever. So I definitely enjoyed that. I don't want to overuse those because it would just get kind of boring, and you have to, oh, another one of these, okay, But so that I really like that. And I did like I said, it was a very old school feel. Like they were really just after treasure. That's all they to basically get the experience points from getting that treasure so they can level up. And so when they get back to the city of Solus, they will have like more powerful, so they can take on more powerful quests that the church will give them. And honestly, I mean, that's like the whole goal of this. I gave them a very involved, in-depth storyline adventure with their first session, and then this, like, I mean, we might be able to wrap this up. This island that they're on, we might be able to wrap it up with this our session on Saturday. In which case, that's fine. If it takes another session, that's fine. But I mean, I just wanted this to be kind of a like more of just a dungeon crawl slash murder hobo type of relaxing type of situation. Go someplace, kill the things that have the treasure, take the treasure, and get back without having to have some big plot going on. And so I'm enjoying it a great deal now. And for what I can tell, my friends are having a good time with it too. So there you go. That's the most recent session for the Grognards. As always, hitting the old like button, the subscribe, the 9 yards, whatever, do those things. Mostly leave comments below. I love reading comments. That's like, I could take or leave anything else that you guys do, but if you leave the comments below, I love interacting with people. I love hearing what you have to say about either sessions you have or things that you might have played or situations you may have played that like sound a lot like what we're doing. And because those just, makes me like, I like that interaction with the people that are out there. So until next time, Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. Take care of yourself. We'll talk again soon.